Hi, Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I am SamBrie Stitches here on YouTube, Instagram, and Etsy. Welcome to another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. I am super happy to be here with Carla. She is the amazing woman behind Cobweb Corner. Her Flosstube channel showcases many of her talents, which we will get into down towards the middle of the interview, which I'm excited about. But what I really enjoy is her enabling. She owns a shop, and enabling is like the best thing for Flosstubers to do. I like the part where she shows like what's new in her shop, or if she's having sales or chart parades or anything like that. I know many of us love to be enabled. So that's one of my favorite parts of her channel as well. If you are not familiar with Carla, I will have all her links down below, but she has generously offered a discount code for my viewers. And it'll be 10% off of everything except floss, and that's including clearance items as well, which is kind of cool. So the code will be down below. The link will be down below. Just make sure that when you're checking out that you do see the discount code in there. It makes life easier for Carla prior to you checking out. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here and for offering that for the viewers as well, Carla.
Of course. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Well, good. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the questions, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I can tell you a little bit. I live in Iowa, in a small town, just outside a small town, and I am the owner and sole employee of Cobweb Corner Cross Stitch. I've been working full-time at home since 2003, and I've had my cross stitch store since a couple of years before that. So really early with the online, it's online only. And I have a wonderful husband. I have a almost 28-year-old daughter who lives in Seattle, so kind of close to Becca. Yeah, pretty close actually. Yeah, and I have two kitties. If you watch my channel, you'll get to know one of them. The other one doesn't come on video very often. But I love my job. I love what I do. I don't cross stitch myself a lot. I want to. I love to cross stitch, but sometimes life gets in the way and all my other hobbies and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. There's not much to say. Hopefully you'll learn more as we go through all the questions.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I just want to say that with Carla's shop, she partners with me and a couple other fellow Flosstubers as well, where we do giveaways. And this
one of my favorite things to do.
It's so generous of you too. It's a cool collaboration. I like being a part of it, but yeah, definitely go check out her shop. She ships fast. She has a huge selection, and she's just amazing. So
thank you.
Yep. All right. So let's jump into the questions now.
Okay.
The first one is, why did you start a floss tube, and were there any particular motivations?
There was a particular motivation. So I think it was 2019, I was getting ready to go to market in Nashville. And I was looking through the list of classes, and they said, learn how to have your own floss tube channel. And I'm like, what the heck is what? I mean, I was not big into social media. I had my business Facebook page, and that was about it. And I'd kind of played with YouTube a little bit, but I had no idea these floss tubes were being made. So of course, I right away went to YouTube and typed in floss tube and started watching. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to stitch right now. Everything I watched, the enthusiasm, the variety of things being stitched, the way they were finished, it was like, this is so incredibly cool. And I thought, I've got to do this. But then I was like, does anybody want a store to have a floss tube, And I don't, like I said, I don't stitch a ton. I'm not, you see these people, well, you, for example, who stitch all these different things. And I'm a monogamous stitcher, and I usually stitch large projects. So it can be a year before I finish. But I decided to give it a try, and if you watch my first one, I was really nervous, but it has really become a lot of fun, and I've connected to my customers, but more importantly, I keep up my enthusiasm for stitching and keep up on what other people are stitching. And I've made so many friends. So it has just been a blessing, both business wise and personal wise. And I'm so glad that they had that little blurb in the, I didn't end up taking the class, but figured it out, and I just love it. I think Flosstuber is the best thing for the cross stitch community out there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very, very amazing community.
It really is.
Just to be part of it, just showing your stitching, but also from a shop standard, you know, kind of reaching more people because, you know, you're an online shop. So, I mean, it's the coolest thing ever. It really is. Yeah. So how did you come up with your name then, Cobweb Corner?
Well, Cobweb Corner, I actually started selling online in 1998. I was one of the very early people that used PayPal before eBay bought PayPal. Okay. And I started with my mom, and we sold. My mom has a ton of antiques, and she had a lot of political paraphernalia, posters, you know, things like that. And then my mom and I were big into Beanie Babies. So Beanie Babies and Hallmark ornaments. So I had a website, I don't know, 97, 98, where I would just list items for sale. And when we could take payment by PayPal, it was like, oh my gosh. So I wanted a name that kind of brought that antique-y stuff in with it, because I wasn't doing cross stitch at that time. And I came up with Cobweb Corner, and I love it.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool name. And it does sound antique-y now that you've explained it. It does make sense.
It's kind of evolved way past that, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So I know that you're like a monogamous stitcher. How long have you been stitching, and how did you learn to stitch?
I started stitching in college in probably 1982. One of my best friends, who then became my roommate, came home from Christmas break, and she was stitching a Precious Moments by Designs by Gloria and Pat, which we all, if you're my age, started on that, and Paula Vaughn. And I was like, what are you doing? And she showed me, and I'm like, I so need to do that, because one thing about me is I love colors, like colored paper. Could swim in floss, you know, just all the different colors. And I'm like, this is so cool. So I bought my own Precious Moments book. And I think the first thing I stitched, and she showed me what to do, and I think the first thing I stitched was the little boy with the fishing pole, Precious Moments thing.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. And that was it. So that was 40 years ago. Is that right? That can't be right. 30 years ago. I don't know. I can't do math.
Okay.
40 years
ago. Cross stitchers, but we can't do math. We can't count.
Yeah, we can count to 10.
Yeah. No, yeah. I remember I actually have some of the Precious Moments and stuff like that pattern. So yeah. So do you have a favorite project that you've stitched so far?
Well, that was the one thing I brought to show you. I have a lot of favorites. I don't finish a lot of things, but I finished one I'm most proud of is when my mother-in-law got married. Let's see, this will be my 30th anniversary. She got married 29 years ago, and for her wedding, I stitched a Paula Vaughn piece, and I think it was called Love Song. And it was a piano with a piece of sheet music, and then the typical Paula Vaughn flowers, bouquets of flowers and stuff. So I was really proud of that one. But today I just went and picked up this one at the Framers. Oh. And it's Summer Delivery by Plum Street Samplers. And I had it framed at Michael's, and I'm pretty happy. The one thing I do constantly is I always choose fabric that's too light for white. But it is what it is, and you can still see. You can still see him. Yeah. But it will go on my brag wall, and I'm really, really happy with it. I love the frame. It's kind of a little bit distressed, and so that one's the one I'm happiest with now. I'm also working on Oh Feathers by Rosewood Manor, and that's probably one of my favorite pieces I've ever stitched, just because of the colors and stuff. And it was my first time using sulky threads, which I love. So yeah, so I was really excited. I ran and got in the car an hour before we were supposed to meet, and my husband's like, "You're not going to make it back." And I said, "Yes, I will."
Well, I'm glad you did, because Paulette's patterns are just, I love her color choices. I love her designs. Yeah.
She's amazing. We have some amazing designers. Yeah. Including yourself.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there pretty quick.
I'm learning. I'm all about the antique reproductions now. I'm loving that. So
yeah, that's fun.
So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
Probably the quiet time. Just it calms me down. I can usually listen to a book on tape or listen to music and stuff, and you just lose yourself in it. So I really, really enjoy that aspect of just being able to completely relax, and you kind of maybe I'm alone, but I don't even really think, I don't sit there all that worrying in your brain where you're repeating conversations or thinking about things and what you need to do. That just all goes away. So
yes, it does.
So that's probably what I like the most, is I can just go into my corner with my chair and my light
and just
forget everything.
Yeah. I'm right there. And I think a lot of us feel that way with, being sick for the past month and a half. I've gotten a lot of stitching done, and it's really helped. It keeps you focused. It keeps your mind off of, pain or stress or drama or whatever. It's just
right. And there's a lot of drama out there. And sometimes you just need to get rid of it. And I think stitching brings comfort to so many people. That I just love it.
Yeah. That's why I try to, wherever I go, I bring stitching. So if my husband goes hiking, I'll go sit on, a bench wherever he's hiking, and I'll be stitching, and people will walk by and I want to share that, and I want to open up their world to stitching and to our community on YouTube, on Flosstuber, and, because more people need this. It's like therapeutic.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was really glad when my daughter started stitching, because what's one of my goals as a shop owner is try to get younger people to stitch. And I recently taught one of her friends to stitch. So that's really fun. She's, she obviously has different tastes than I do, but she does beautiful work, and it's really nice to see so many younger stitches, because I've been in it long enough to see the trends back when knitting and quilting kind of pushed cross stitch out for a while. And now it's just the last few years, it seems to have come back so strong, and I'm so glad. For the younger generation too. My daughter also stitches, my older daughter, and it's amazing to be able to share that with somebody too, in your family, alone, strangers and everybody else. But right.
That's pretty. And it's double of the enabling. She just comes and takes stuff out of my stash. She doesn't really have to buy anything. She just comes and starts pulling.
My daughter's coming home this week. My dad is turning 90, and she's coming home for Grandpa's birthday. And she texted me the other day. She goes, "I have a list of floss I need." I'll be picking that up. I'll be picking that up when I come.
That's so funny. Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to get out of Stitchy Talk a little bit.
Okay.
And we're going to learn a little bit more about you. And the next question is, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
Has to be fantasy. I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Huge. I started reading Lord of the Rings when I was in junior high. So maybe 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And I probably read the books 15, 20 times. Started a Hobbit and all the other three. And now I'm reading them in French. So I'm only halfway through the first I didn't get the Hobbit. My daughter gave them to me in French for Christmas this year. And so I'm rereading them in French. So that's a slow process because I have to look up a lot of words.
Oh, I was gonna say, so I'm curious. Is the storyline basically the same?
Exactly
And
the
then
same. It's just translated to French. Yep. Yeah. So a lot of it, I know the books so well. I literally know the conversations in the books, so I can pretty much figure out the words. The hard part is, there's so much descriptive, like types of trees and things where they give names of trees. Well, I don't know what oak tree is in French. I just know what tree is in French. So things like that slow me down, but it's a lot of fun and it's good practice. So
yeah, because you're learning too. So you can speak French then.
I can speak pretty good. I can speak conversationally. Yeah.
Oh, you and my daughter would get along because she can too.
Yeah, we lived in France for 22 months. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, my husband got sent there for work in 2014, and it was fun. So I took like 21 weeks of French class when I was there.
That's so neat.
Yeah,
it's kind of a neat little life experience that you can.
It was awesome experience. Awesome experience.
Very cool. So what fictional place would you most like to go to then?
I thought about that. It would have to be Rivendell, which is in the books. I don't know. Are you familiar with the books? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
It would have to be Rivendell. There's other fictional places that would obviously be a lot of fun, but that would be top on my list. So Lord of the Rings and Rivendell is one of the popular answers for this question through my interview series. Is it really?
Harry Potter and Hogwarts.
Yeah.
There's a couple of big ones. So there's a huge fan base of Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and that kind of stuff within the cross stitch community. So we have a lot of common,
isn't that neat?
Threads basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm listening to Wheel of Time right now on audiobook, and really, I had never read those, and I'm really enjoying that too. But yeah, that's interesting. I knew there were a lot of Harry Potter fans in the cross stitch world, but I didn't know about Lord of the Rings. So that's cool. I'll have to hook up some of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few in the interview series. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
That would be hiking with my daughter and my husband. Just spending the day. Yeah, spending the day outside somewhere beautiful. We love to hike. We've gone on. Pre-COVID, we traveled all the time. And our major thing to do is go to a national park or somewhere like that and hike. I haven't been to a lot of national parks, but like we did a family vacation to Arcadia National Park in Maine and just spend the time hiking. So, and when we hike, my daughter and I talk a lot. We usually walk side by side, and it's just a great time to have a conversation and enjoy
being out in nature.
World, yeah. So that's my ideal day.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That would be mine if my husband goes on crazy hikes. So I can't really do those with all my health stuff, but just going out into, he'll find shorter trails to waterfalls and stuff like that. And just being outdoors lifts your spirits. It does something. And Absolutely. With family is even better. Yeah. Very cool. So this is the question that I'm excited about. Do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch? Because I know you've touched on them in your videos. So
yes. I used to be really into scrapbooking, and I have a ton of paper. I actually got rid of about half of my paper and just took it to Goodwill. So cross stitching, and then I don't know if people know, but I actually had 3 businesses. I did the cross stitch store, and then I made jewelry professionally for about 12 years. And so that was kind of a hobby, kind of a job. And then I also had a jewelry supply store. I actually still do. I'm still getting rid of it. But I quit making jewelry in pretty much when we got back from France. I made a whole bunch when I was over in France, and then stopped making. Had I do over again, I just would have concentrated and only done my cross stitch store and just gone full into it, but you know, I didn't. And then I am now into, I also have a Cricut, which is part of the scrapbooking. And so I do, you know, those are the kind of things that I'll leave them for like 2 or 3 years and not do it. And then I come back to it and go, you know, full bore again. And then now I'm into machine embroidery and small project quilting. So my husband bought me an amazing gift this year. He bought me a really nice machine embroidery sewing machine.
Wow.
And he started me out on a real small one, inexpensive. And he says, if you like this, we'll upgrade. And we upgraded. So I actually am doing a lot of that when if I'm not cross stitching. And so I just started a new project with my machine, and I've started making aprons and table runners and different things like mug rugs, you know, different things like that. So that's been my latest. I've been accumulating fabric and stuff. That just started about a year ago. Other than that, hobbies would just be reading, you know, that'd be about it. But that keeps me pretty busy. You know, every hobby I get into, it's like all or nothing.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if you're like that. My first year, last year I did my first quilt shop hop, and I came home with a lot of fabric. So it's like, if you're going to do it right.
So I know that you, when you were making jewelry, but you're turning your jewelry now into cross stitch bling, right?
Yeah. So I have probably 500 or 600 pieces of jewelry made that I used to take to shows, you know, and travel around with, and then was listed in my Etsy shop, and it never sold. And I am taking it apart and using many pieces are handmade pendants. I did a lot of collage work, hand stamping, resin work, things like that. So I'm making those mostly into scissor fobs, a few zipper pulls, but the scissor fobs have been super popular. And usually I post them on Instagram and they're sold the same day or the next day. Yeah. So I don't put them in my shop just because they're one-ups, they're one of a kind. And sometimes I put them in my cross-stitch auctions, so on Facebook. But that's been a great way to repurpose that jewelry that needs to go away.
I figured we needed to mention that because I'll have your Instagram and stuff linked below. I've seen it. Great. Beautiful. For sure. So this is another one of my favorite questions, and it's, how would your friends describe you?
That was a really hard one for me. I don't have a lot of close friends, just because I'm a pretty, you may not believe it, but I'm pretty introverted. And I have really close friends, and I guess they would describe me as opinionated. I have very strong opinions. I don't voice my opinions on my Flosstube channel because I want it to be, I want it to be a place where people can just totally forget all that stuff. Yep. But I am very opinionated, and that gets me into trouble every once in a while. But I also think they would say I was very loyal. I would do anything for my friends, and friendship to me is just one of the best gifts that you can have in life. So I don't know what they would say. I asked my husband on this one. He said, "Ooh, that's a hard one." I don't know if that's good or not, but I would have to say on the maybe bad side, a little overly opinionated, and on the good side, friendly, funny, and loyal.
I think that's a good balance. Everybody needs their opinions, you know. Yeah.
Well, I do listen. So I have one girlfriend who we're complete opposites on the political spectrum and stuff, and we have great conversations, which you can't do with everybody. And we listen to each other, and we've maintained our friendship through, you know, all this diverse stuff that's been going on. And I couldn't respect her more for her beliefs, even though they aren't mine. So that's really important. If you can have a friend who listens to you and says, I hear what you're saying, I don't agree, but I got you.
Yeah, we need more people like that in the world, and less people attacking people for their opinions and such.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
Yeah. That needs to definitely happen. So back into stitchy talk a little bit.
Okay.
And then how do you prefer to stitch? Do you use like a hoop, a Q-snap, in hand?
I try to do in hand because it looks like it's a lot faster, but my arthritis doesn't let me do it. When I hold the fabric, I hold it real tight and my hand just locks up. So I prefer to be in a recliner, slightly leaning back. And then I bought one of the really nice floor frames. And what I like about it is it's got the arm that comes in, and I can flip my stitching this way rather than having to like take it out or flip it around. So it's, like I used to have one that was in front of me and I would have to manipulate it to get it to the back side. And this one is just super easy. I just reach over, loosen it up a little bit, turn it over, do whatever I need to do on the back. And then I use Q-snaps. And then I have an Ott light. So that's pretty much my little reclining chair setup. For some reason, I can't stitch sitting straight up. I got to be leaned back a little bit. I don't know if it's because my feet are up then or what, but that's how I'm most comfortable.
I'm the same as you. I have like a little love seat that has a recliner, so I'll put that out. I have a pillow behind me, and then I have a lap stand that I could do the same thing where I use the Q-snap and I can flip it around, finish it off, and then flip it back around. So it sounds like basically the same setup, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along when you went?
Well, that's a tough one because we've traveled a lot. And when we lived in France, you could get on a plane and 45 minutes later, you're in another country.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it really was. France is my favorite place to visit because I can try to talk in French. But also, we've gone to a lot. Like I said, we travel around the US too, to the different national parks. And then we've gone to, it's really different because, there's the cities and then there's the nature. And so, and they're all equally amazing, but in completely different ways. I'd have to say our best vacation was the redwood forest in Northern California.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That was probably the most amazing hiking and outdoor stuff. And then city-wise, I would have to say Barcelona I change it, Rome. Yeah, we got to see, the Vatican and St. Peter's Cathedral, the Colosseum, and all of that. Just amazing thousands of years old history, so you just don't get that in the United States. So those two completely different. But we miss our traveling. COVID just knocked that right out.
Yeah. That's someday that's a bucket list, is just to be able to travel, just see the world would be absolutely amazing. I want to go to England because that's a lot of my heritage. Oh, that would be just amazing.
You'll get there.
Someday.
Yep, that's right.
So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to must-have besides the basics?
My favorite thing is I've started, I have pretty bad eyes, and I've started scanning my charts, working copy only, as a PDF file. And I can enlarge that PDF file on my iPad to literally a 10 by 10 grid, and it's crystal clear. And I don't have Android devices, so I can't use what's the
Pattern keeper.
Yes, pattern keeper. But what I do if I'm working on a complex pattern that I want to be able to mark off, I import it into Goodreader and I use the highlighting feature in Goodreader and I highlight what I've stitched. And when you have it so big, it's super easy to do that. So everything I do, whether it's a little tiny, small or a great big pattern, I scan it as a PDF and then just open it up as a PDF and expand it, and it works perfectly. And anymore with my eyesight, I can't go without that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do everything in GoodNotes basically on my iPad, and it's the same concept, zooming in and
maybe it's GoodNotes. I said Goodreader, didn't I?
Well, there might be two different ones. I don't know, but it's the same thing. Yeah, I put it in there, and I have Pattern Keeper for my full coverage. I just bought like a cheap Android. Somebody told me there might be one coming to Apple products. They're working on some sort of version, so that would be
nice. I don't usually buy PDF patterns, even though that's what I prefer to stitch off of. But I have 7,000 charts in my inventory, so I'm usually stitching something I have on hand.
Yeah. Man, that would be absolutely amazing just to be able to be like, I feel like a new start and just go into your own shop. That's awesome. That's like a dream for a lot of stitchers.
Yeah, it is. Well, I have to tell you, I have customers who have contacted me about, because I sell used and pre-owned and new. And in the past, I've had customers who own over 5,000 charts, who have wanted, they get older or they're time to downsize, and they want to start selling some of them. And some people just love to collect and peruse it. And I mean, I can't believe how much some people stitch, how much they finish.
Yeah.
So they have awesome collections.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be amazing to be able to get some of the stashes from some people, some of the older out of print charts and stuff like that would be really neat. So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next for your projects? You're a monogamous, so do you just...
Yeah, I have more than one project started, but I don't do a rotation every week. So right now I've probably got five charts started, but then I'll pick out one and work on it for usually 3 or 4 months before I get another one out, because I'm slow stitcher. But what I do is I use the app Cross Stitch, it's X-Stitch, and it's on Apple. I don't know if there's one on Android too, but I pay $9.99 a year for it, and I take anytime I see something I might want to stitch, I take a picture of it and I put it in there and on my wish list. So, and then I say, then you change the status to I started it, and you can add more photos as you progress and then you're finished. But I'll take a picture of the cover and put it on there and say, I think I want to stitch this. And then when I'm ready to start something new, unless it's a particular, like I'm doing a stitch along or something like that, then I'll go back and I'll look through my wish list and start weeding out what I want and what I looked at before. So anytime I get new charts in my inventory or something, and there's something I'm like, I really like that, I'll stick it on my wish list on there and then decide whether I want to stitch it or not.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good plan. That way you don't get overwhelmed with a whole bunch of, starts and...
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because you start watching Flosstube and you're like, especially when you see things finished and the different ways that people finish them, and you're like, oh, I gotta stitch that. I really gotta stitch that.
The community, I tell you.
Yeah, but I'm pretty picky about what I decide to stitch, unless I'm doing a stitch along or something like that. And of course, join right in.
Nice. I think a lot of people in the community, they just kind of whatever's calling to them kind of thing is how they decide. There's very few in at least the interviews that I've done where they have like a set rotation or anything like that. Most is just whatever's there, whatever's talking to them.
Yeah. I've seen people use those decision wheels.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I tried that and it's like, I really don't want to stitch on that today.
I don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think so. We're going to spin that wheel again.
Yep. I do the same thing. That's too funny. So before we get to the last question, is there anything that you want to tell people that they wouldn't know about you?
So that was another one I ran by my husband. I'm like, what should I say that people don't know about me? I guess back on the Lord of the Rings topic, my name is on the credits of the extended version of all 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies.
What?
Yeah. So the way that happened was when I was turning 40, right before the movies had, I think at least one of the movies had come out. And I was going to turn 40 and I got this email or saw something that they were going to have a Lord of the Rings fan club. And you could either do one movie or you could do all 3 movies. And I was working, at the time I was working in the same building as my husband. And we were meeting for lunch and I said, I know what I want for my birthday. I want to have Lord of the Rings fan club. And one of the things for being in the fan club was your name gets added as fan member to all of the extended version of the movies.
Oh, that's so cool.
And there were so many fans, thousands and thousands, that they had to write a new score, a new musical score to roll the names of the fan members. So I'm on there. It's Carla Ekman, Ekman. So if you own the extended version, go load it. Go to the very end.
Did you sat and like watch the extended version so you could see your name?
Absolutely.
That's so cool. That is so neat. Oh my gosh.
And the only other thing was that people might not know that I used to be a computer programmer for 20 years.
Did not know that.
That's what I went to school for. I graduated from Luther College, a little liberal arts school in Iowa, and with a comp sci degree. And then got my MBA at the University of Iowa and worked. I taught and wrote databases for an international company for that. Well, I had a number of jobs, but I did that total of 19 years and then quit to do this full time.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So completely different career change. If you think you can't do a career change, you can do a career change.
Do you miss it at all, or do you enjoy just like working from home and being able
I love working from home. There were obviously the obvious benefits, but there's also a lot of isolation when you're the only employee. And when my husband was working, he's retired now, so he bothers me a lot now. But, you know, you'd be home every day. And he used to, when he worked, he traveled, months out of the year, you know, little trips, lots and lots of little trips and a couple of big trips every year. So I was alone a lot. And you don't realize how much interaction you get at work, even if it's just passing conversations, you know, water cooler type conversations. So, and like I said, I'm kind of an introvert and stuff, so I don't make a point to go out and meet new people and things like that. So that was a little hard, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love it.
That's kind of funny because I'm actually trying to work from home, making this designing thing go because I work retail. But since I've been sick for the past month and a half, I haven't worked. And so I'm finding that I miss the interactions from my coworkers. And it's crazy. It's really weird, but also I'm enjoying being home and getting to do, you know, more, even though I'm not moving around much, but I get to stitch more and I get to do the designing more.
Yep.
So I see your point because
there's a definite trade-off. I love being my own boss. I love, you know, when you have a job like I had, you got paid the same no matter how hard you worked. You know, you had to work hard, but you know, but when you're your own business owner,
you got to work.
You see the benefits of working hard. Yeah. You know, you everything you do leads to your success or your non-success. And that's really cool. That's a big motivator. And to be able to say, you know, I haven't worked for a few days, I got to get this inventory in. It's direct impact. So that's really neat to me. And I love what I do. I have just amazing customers who have been, I have some customers who have been with me since the beginning, and I get new customers every single day. And I love their comments, and I just love everything about it. I couldn't be happier. There's things, you know, that are disappointing and hard and stuff. Lots of people still won't sell to an online only company, and it's blows me away. But there's some big designers that won't sell to me because I don't have a brick and mortar shop. But that's their choice, you know. Yeah. And you try not to take it personal. But overall, and with now that I'm on Flosstuber and I've met people like you and, you know, Helen D, and just so many different people who even though I've never met you in person, I feel like we have this connection, and that has made a huge difference in helping me get through COVID and different things. And also when COVID hit and all the local shops had to close, I was so glad that the online shops that were there because people were like, my shop's closed. It was right before Mania that year, and people were going crazy trying to get ready for Mania. And, you know, so I had this big surge of new customers, and now they've gone back to their local LNSs, their LNS, which is awesome. But to be able to have that option when you can't get out of your house, and so many people tell me, you know, my nearest LNS is 3 hours away. We used to have, the biggest town I lived by is Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and we used to have 4 needlework shops back in the day, you know, probably the 90s. And then we got down to 1, and it closed 2 years ago. So we don't have any, you know.
No, I know. For me, I have one that's like an hour and a half or hour away from me, but it's really, really tiny. And then I have, you know, Acorns and Threads, which is 3 hours one way for me. So, you know, with the cost of gas and the time and, you know, driving pretty much 7 hours round trip to go to a stitchy shop, because I would go down to Portland, online shops, because I know for you ship fast, like you're speedy when it comes to shipping. So like you can get it pretty quick. So if you don't need instant gratification, I like online shopping would be good for people who don't have anything close by them. So
yeah, it's just, you know, you can't come and touch and feel and you know, stuff. And that's but when you know what you want, or you can't get it somewhere, then I think just having the option is great. And none of the online stores are there to put the brick and mortar stores, you know, out of business. We're here to expand the craft and to share the craft with everybody. So it's a good balance.
Yeah, I wish that more brick and mortars were opening, though, just because it's the fabric and the floss that the charts, you know, are fine online. It's the fabric and floss that you really kind of want to.
You got to do that floss toss. You know? You have to see your floss on the fabric, and you want to look at the weave of the linen and see how uneven it is. And you know, that's why I don't carry it. Well, I don't carry a lot of fabric because I don't have the room. And fabric, you know, you think about it, fabric's like $100 to $150 a yard. And it's like, that's a lot of inventory. But I don't know if you want to get into this conversation or not, but I don't know if a lot of brick and mortar stores will continue to open, because things have changed so much, you know. The PDF situation, which I totally get and not opposed to it all, but if you can buy your chart on a PDF. And then the other thing that's changed since I started 20 years ago, designers never sold direct to customers 20 years ago. They couldn't, you know, they didn't have websites and stuff. And now designers are selling direct to customers, which is great. Because it supports, it's great. It's just different, you know? And a brick and mortar store or a store like me can't compete. So there's a lot of designers that are amazing that I can't carry because I buy their charts, but they're so popular online. And with their own websites, they're just so successful.
That makes sense.
They're going to go, customers are going to go and buy directly from the designer and support the designer, which is great. So you just got to know what's going to sell and what's not going to sell and go from there. But it makes it really hard because a shop can't live on fabric and floss.
Yeah.
Got to have designs in our shops to sell. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years.
And I think that's where I'm struggling, I guess, just because I'm brand new designer. It's weird for me to even say designer. I think that's where I'm struggling is like I have some shops that are carrying some hard copies, but I'm finding that it's easier just to put the PDF up on Etsy,
right,
and then just let it go because getting stuff printed and shipped and then it's a lot. And
the economic impact of hard copies, you got to print them, you got to ship them to the wholesaler has to ship them to the retailer has to ship them to the customer. That's a lot of impact on our the climate and the cost of having all that shipping and gas and postage has gone ridiculous in the last few years.
More than that.
So I get it. And by the time it really impacts business owners, I'll probably be retired, but it's interesting to think about what's going to happen with the different changes, because you as a designer, if you had to sell floss, then you might as well ship hard copies,
Yeah.
So people still have to get their floss and their fabric and stuff. So it's weird. I'd like to know what people think about what they think the future will be for cross stitch shops.
Well, hopefully they'll leave it in the comments.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad when they close, I mean, it's like.
Well, and it's scary because we have such a large community, and the fact that shops may not be opening, like brick and mortar shops may not be opening physically, I guess, anymore,
right.
Like newer ones. It's kind of scary for our community and what's going to happen with getting supplies and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious if anybody has opinions or anything like that to leave in the comments. That's a really interesting conversation, and just coming from shop owner and designer side of it, having that conversation is pretty interesting. So
yeah, and it's like, it's not like I would ever say, oh, you shouldn't sell to your customer, because it's a business. It's a business and your livelihood, and getting a PDF file downloaded instantly is like, yes, I can start working. If I have the fabric and the floss that I want, I can start working on it right away.
Yeah.
So, and then you can bring it into Pattern Keeper, and there's so many advantages. So I get that completely. It's just that what's going to happen? What does that mean? There's some ideas that I have. It would be nice if shop owners could sell PDF files, like do an affiliation link and stuff like that. Who knows where that's going to go.
Yeah, I know. I was talking with the shop about them doing a couple of PDFs for me on their site, but then it's the whole keeping it's a lot. I don't even know what I'm doing, but it's like keeping track of the sales, and because for my wholesale, I only have 3 shops, but I just wholesale directly to them. I don't go through a middle person because I'm so new and they don't want all my charts and stuff. So I'm still learning like the ins and outs, and it just makes me nervous because I'm so new to know that, what happens down the line if I really want to get into this kind of thing. So it's a lot to think about.
Are you going to go to market this year?
I'm going to Nashville Needlework Market next year.
Awesome.
Going in March. And I'm going to be rooming with Brandy at Be Stitch Me. We're going to split a room and go that route. So I'm already registered, and Excited for that and nervous.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love it. You're just gonna love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I could definitely use all the advice because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, there's a lot of designers out there who have recently had their first time at market, and that would be a group to get into. But market is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited and nervous, so we'll see what happens.
You'll do great. You'll do great.
Thank you. So after that was an amazing chat. A little bit of a
sorry, kind of got
rabbit hole, but it was nice. What is the best thing that has happened to you within the past couple of years?
You have hard questions because the last couple of years have been COVID. So,
yes, and that's why I ask it, is because I want something like positive to come out of it.
I'd have to say the best thing that we did in the last 2 years was buy a camper. We had been kind of considering, my husband was not yet retired when COVID started, and he switched to, they asked him to work at home because of COVID. So that was a big change. And we kind of knew right away that travel was going to be out. What were we going to do to keep getting out? And we had kind of looked at campers before that. And I said, really early on, I said, I think now's the time to get a camper. And we got one right when they started to become really scarce because campers just sold out, and trucks to pull campers sold out right away that first summer. And we got ours. This is our third season with it. And we don't go long distances. We usually go no more than, I think the furthest we've gone is 3.5 hours away. But we love Midwest, small town. If you've never visited the Midwest and visited a small town with a square and little boutiques and shops and coffee shops and meat markets and, all the different things, little cafes where you can still get breakfast for $5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, things like that. We're just having a blast. We just went camping. We just got back yesterday and just went to about an hour and 45 minutes away and hiked and went to a brewery and, just sat by a fire both nights and just had a great time. And it's a way to be safe.
Yep.
And get outside, which, be outside as much as possible and still kind of travel. So.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to go far. That my husband and I do the same thing. 3 hours away, we'll go, rent a cabin or something like that just to get out and just be out in the woods. So yeah, someday we want to do the camper too. Once he retires and we'll be able to go travel, that would be really neat. But
yeah.
Well, see, something positive came out of
it. Did. I got my camper.
That's why I like it. Sorry. That's why I like asking this question, is because it has been a rough couple of years, obviously. But there's always good things that happen. So that's why I love ending with that question. So
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So that is the end of our interview.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was. Just chit-chatting. So
you're easy to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm coughing through the whole thing. I was trying to be quiet, but
I hope you feel better soon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you just got back from camping and rushing around and all that kind of stuff. So
this was a blast.
Yeah, and now you get to go relax. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye, everybody.